What's going on, everyone? This is Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. Today I wanted to talk to you all about some of the challenges that you might face in government contracting. Now, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but there's going to be a lot of challenges that you're going to face in business in general, and especially with government contracting that you may not see, because when you think about government contracting, you're thinking about all the money you're going to make and all the fun you're going to have and all the people that you can employ, but there's going to be challenges, just like there's challenges in any business. So we're going to get into it right after the intro. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Here on the Sheenapreneur channel, I share information about government contracting, veteran business content, and other business tips. Okay, y'all, so I have a little list of some of the things or some of the challenges that you may face when you're in government contracting. And again, I don't want to discourage you because you can do this. You can do this. I'm encouraging everyone to get into government contracting as long as it makes sense for you, your family, and whatever business you're going to go into. As long as it makes sense for the existing business or any other business that you want to get into, make sure it makes sense, right? So the first thing I want to talk to you about is money. So if you've been in business for a while, you know acquiring funding or access to capital is always a pain. It's always going to be a challenge for most of you. And let me not say most of you, some of you, because if you've been in business for a while, maybe you've already established some kind of business credit and you've already gotten loans from your bank, from your business bank, or you have friends and family that can give you money. Maybe you just balling like that. You know what I'm saying? You got a 401k or something. And so you're like, Sheena, money ain't no thing or whatever. Cool. No problem. But for the rest of us, okay, the rest of us that maybe don't have a good credit score, or maybe we don't have access to capital, we're still working a 9-to-5, we don't have a 401k, we don't have a military TSP, we don't have any of those things. Money is probably going to be a challenge when you first start, unfortunately. But there's a silver lining, because now if you are in a service-based industry, chances are you can hopefully sub some of your work out and you won't start off as having employees where you have to pay them a W-2 pay or a salary or anything like that. So typically when it comes to subcontractors can typically wait for you to pay them. Okay, so that's one of the things that, yeah, you need money, but you might be able to like finagle this thing if you're going into the services industry and you don't necessarily have to provide any supplies, you as the prime who bid and won the contract, but then you have a subcontractor who is responsible for all the supplies, all the equipment, all the personnel, then money may not be an issue for you. So, but it will be an issue for you if there's anything that you have to purchase up front. Let's say that you have to employ employees because that's the way the contract is written, right? So if you have to get employees, then you automatically know that you're going to have to pay them regardless. Unfortunately, you're going to have to pay them regardless because, you know, no employee is going to wait on any payment. So that's just the way it is. And if you have to buy any type of equipment or supplies for that employee to do their job, then you know you're going to have to come out of pocket some sort of way. So money is definitely a challenge when it comes to starting in government contracting. So when it comes to purchasing products, if you're in the product industry, you're going to have to buy those products up front. Someone asked me the other day, like the difference between grants and, I think I might have said this in one of my other videos, but for those who don't know, between grants and government contracts is grants usually give you the money up front to do the thing, whereas government contracting, you got to do the thing first and then get paid. So that's typically 98% of the time, that's how that thing works. Every now and then you can get an advance, hopefully, maybe, but generally speaking, you're going to have to come out of pocket some sort of way. So if you're buying products and selling them to the government, then you know you're going to have to come out of pocket and buy that stuff and hopefully get paid. Sometimes you get paid right away, but you're still coming out of pocket at least for the first day of buying those items. And then the government either pays right away or 30 days, hopefully no more than 30 days. So money is typically going to be a challenge when you're going into government contracting or really any business. But those, I gave you a couple of loopholes or a couple of ways that you can kind of finagle the money situation. So challenge number one essentially is money. Number two is going to be user education. Now this is a little weird because when I mean user education, I'm talking about the agency that you're providing the service for. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of times contracting officers do not know what they're asking for. Now, we're talking about contracting officers. If you're in whatever agency that you're working for, depending on what department is actually looking for this particular service or product, they may be more of an expert than you, but maybe not. For example, when I did my flooring contract for the county, it was for a fire station. The fire station workers and the head of the fire department doesn't know about flooring, so they're still the buyer. They're still the person who is asking for this service to be done. So when I say user education, I'm saying that the agency sometimes doesn't know what they need or what they want. So that's where you come in as the expert. That's why I harp on you knowing what you're doing when you're going into an industry or going into government contracting, because you're not going to know that if you're doing flooring that you might need to buy cove base. You either have molding usually at your house, but if you go into a commercial space, you'll see cove base on the bottoms of the where the floor and the wall meet, and it's usually black or tan. And so cove base is something that you may not know to ask when you're doing floor replacement, like, because usually you can't really replace floors without removing the cove base. Not well anyway, I should say. Anyway, I digress. So what I'm saying is a lot of times the user education is the contract officer, the buyer, which is whatever department is asking for the service, and even sometimes the ground workers don't know what they need. That includes products. You're expert. So explaining to them what they need sometimes could be a pull and a push type thing, where explaining to them that you can't just do the flooring and all I need to purchase is the floors. I also need to purchase cove base. I also need to purchase transitions. You also need to have your floors waxed and buffed after they're done. So those types of things, really wouldn't necessarily resonate with the end buyer. And so it's up to you to make sure that they understand what they need. So that is a challenge that sometimes you'll have, and you have to stand on it. Like, you have to stand on your business for real, because you might go into something saying, no, that's not how it works. And then they tell you, oh yes, this is how you're going to do it. And it ends up being a really, really bad situation. I actually had an attorney that I'm going to have on my channel. He's actually my personal attorney for government contracting. He talked about, very long story short, about a contractor that was working with an agency doing some kind of underground, I want to say like pipe work, where they were like changing out the pipes underground. And the contracting officer or the buyer, whoever it was for that agency, was saying, no, you need to use blah, 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 blah. And then the contractor's like, no, I'm an expert. I've been doing this for 20 years. I use blah, blah, blah. And so the contracting officer / buyer was continuously badgering the contractor, and the contractor went ahead and did what the agency said, and it ended up breaking and causing all this damage, and then the contractor never got paid. Aha! Baby, make sure that you secure your money. CYA, cover your own ass. That's real. Make sure that you're covering what you do, because sometimes the user doesn't know. They don't know best. They don't know what they need. And that's when I go back and talking about some of these solicitations. It's always good to ask questions. When you look at a solicitation, you need to pretend as if you're trying to find errors. You're trying to find problems with the solicitation, because you're like, well, they didn't think about this. What about this? You guys didn't talk about badging. It's on a military base. You didn't talk about how the person gets cleared and badged. So you're always in solicitations. I might do a whole video about that. I think I might. But anyways, so some of the challenges are user education. They don't know what they need, and you're trying to make sure that you're covering yourself so where you can actually add more money onto that particular contract, right? And you're letting them know that, hey, there's some gaps here. You may want to fix this, this, and this. And you can add that stuff usually within the contract. Let's say you get awarded a contract for $50,000 to get this one thing done, but they forgot to add this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing, and that contract now has increased to $100,000. And they're okay with it because they didn't know they needed it, but they know they need to get this thing done. So that's essentially challenge number 2. Number 3 is employees and payroll. Ooh to the ooh-wee. Like, payroll makes my nerves bad, child, because payroll can be intense, okay? The process, knowing like you have to have the money, like all these different things. You may not have the money that week. I mean, this is real life. This is full transparency. Business owners, those who know. Sometimes you may not have payroll. Payroll makes you sweat sometimes, because your business may not be thriving as much as you want it to, or you might have a particular drought that one month where you didn't get paid from a certain contract, and you're like, oh snap. Now I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, because the contract that's associated with these employees, I haven't gotten paid for it yet, but I still got to pay the employees. So it's coming out of money that it's not supposed to, and yada, 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 yada. That's a huge challenge. So payroll in itself is a challenge, but then also employees, making sure that they are trained to your company's standard. If you're getting contracts like we are, Foresight Industries, we're in Philly, we're in Delaware, we're in Tennessee, we're in Florida, we're in Georgia. We're trying to hit up the whole East Coast, and you can't, obviously, obviously cannot watch everyone. So how do you ensure that these employees are, representing your brand, representing what you consider to be good customer service if you're in the service industry, or your delivery drivers if you're delivering a product? Are you gonna make sure it's delivered? What if they just drop the shit on the damn in front of the building and nobody is making sure that this delivery, like you're delivering paper and it's raining because it's in Florida and they just drop it on the curb and it all gets wet, and guess who don't get paid? You. And you probably already paid your sub or paid your employees. So, ooh, child, just thinking about that makes mine. Because imagine if that happened. Imagine if that happened. That would be beyond crazy, right? But that's what comes with it. Employees, you have to make sure that they're trained, make sure that they are not stealing time, clocking in. Because now, like with our company, we do virtual clock-in. So you got it on your phone, you got the GPS attached to it, and you got to clock in and got to show that you're at the location where you actually work, because we have multiple buildings. Where you actually work, you got to clock in there. And then sometimes people will leave their phone because they got another phone saying that they at work because there's no supervisor at that location, and they'll just be stealing time. They're stealing from me. They're stealing from mama. They're stealing from the person who is like trying to make sure that they have a job, and you have no idea. You just minding your business and paying the payroll, not knowing that they've been stealing time from you for the whole time. Crazy. So what parameters are you going to put in place to make sure that people are not stealing time from you, right? So employees is a huge challenge. Anyone who's ever employed people, especially people that are, you don't know, like you're hiring them on Indeed or whatever the case may be. You're hiring remote employees where they're working from home. A lot of people don't like that. I'm cool with it as long as you do what I need you to do. Like if, everybody's going to have some time off when it comes to remote work. There's nothing you can really do about that, but just making sure that they have all the things that they need in order to run your business, because that's what they're hired for. To take all the burden off of you in order for them to run your company. They're getting paid to do it. Sometimes the CEO don't even get paid or whatever. The owner don't even get paid or don't get paid as much. That's just real. So employees and payroll is a huge one. So I just want to kind of stay on that one for a little bit to let you know, when people ask me like, should I hire employees? Even if you're talking about hiring employees before you get any contracts because you need an admin, you need a this, you need a that. Okay, you got to be very clear about what you're looking for. You got to be very clear about what they're supposed to do. Do they need to be in the office? Can they be virtual? What are your requirements? Are you going to give them a phone? Are you going to give them a laptop? Are you going to require them to use their own computer? That's kind of like, you got to dance the line a little bit. Some people are like, no, I'm not going to use my own computer. You're going to provide me one. Stuff like that is just something that you have to kind of think about and work through. Don't think too hard on to where you're like, Sheena, I'm never going to get started in government contracting because you're scaring me. No, I'm just saying it's something to think about, okay? And you're going to make mistakes. So even if you make a mistake and you just hire someone and you're like, oops, okay, the next person that I hire, I'm going to make sure I have these things in place, because people get real smart. They get smart. They become scholars when they're trying to get over. I swear, when they're trying to get over, they get really smart. Make sure you have an employee handbook, okay? So that's a whole other topic for another day. I might actually talk about my employee handbook on another video, but make sure you have an employee handbook so you know what the legalities are, and they do too, like their days off and whatever, PTO, all that kind of stuff is really, really important, because there's some legal parameters when it comes to employee handbook. I think in some states you kind of have to have one signed by an employee. I don't know, whatever, but just do your due diligence when it comes to that. So that's essentially like challenge number 3. So challenge number 4, making sacrifices. There's a little video out with a guy sitting in the car, and he was like, I traded in my 9 to 5 to work 25 hours a day, 8 days a week in my business. That's so real. Like, I felt all of that with my whole chest, because you're going to have a lot of sacrifice. You might have more sacrifices when it comes to, especially when you first start, right? Some of us are lucky. Some of us, it was an easy transition. We got more freedom than we ever had. It depends on what you did. You might work 5 jobs and then you become an entrepreneur and you only work 5 hours a day because you set it up. You took my course, GovConNOW, or you did a consultation with me, or you work with me some kind of way, and then you end up getting contracts and you're like, okay, this is easy. And it's a lot less than the work that you had to do already. But there's going to be some sacrifices. Don't think that just because you're going into government contracting that life is just magically easier. No, there's no such thing as easy. Like, there's no such thing as easy. Because even if let's just say that side note, like, this is kind of a side conversation, but you just become like a house husband, a housewife, you still got stuff to do, or you may not be happy. So it's not like life just just magically gets easier when you go into government contracting. You're gonna make the same, if not more, and maybe hopefully less sacrifices than you would if you went into anything else in life that you have to change or pivot or go into, right? So that's a real quick one. I don't spend too much time on that, but sacrifices, that's just something that some people don't think. They'll ask me that question and I'm like, what? Like, of course there's gonna be sacrifices when it comes to running a business. So going back to money, right? Money in a good way. Yo, if you do this right, of course, if you listen to me and some others, let me not say just me, but you listen to me and you listen to some others, you're gonna make a lot of money. And you could possibly make a lot of money really fast. For those who have never seen, $10,000 at once, $100,000 at once, yo, it does something to your brain. I ain't gonna tell no lie. It does something to your brain. And to see $100,000 in your account and you've never seen that makes you think about life a little bit. You be like, should I just say F it and just go to damn Belize or something right now? I can live in Belize with $100,000. Like, this is amazing. So it really is a lot of money for a lot of people quickly. So you have to I feel like when I start talking about this, people get excited and then they're like, oh, their brain just starts to drift off into all the beautiful things they can do. Yes, I want you to have that. I want you to write down your goals. I want you to write down what I'm gonna do with my first 100,000 of profit, like your money after bills are paid, everything paid. This is what I want to do with my first 100,000, right? When you get that first 100,000, even first 10,000, shoot, 10,000 might be life-changing for a lot of people. This is real life out here. So if you have that and that's your profit and you're like, what do I do with this money? You have to really think logically about your business. You always want to reinvest into your business. Yes, splurge where splurging makes sense. If you want to continue to go in, let's say your industry is set up so swell, you have virtually no overhead and you can probably blow or, reinvest your money into something else or invest your money into something else and you only need a little bit to invest back in your business. I would strongly suggest holding on to all your money because you might want to expand or scale or you might not know where you might need that money. It might be taxes, who knows? But you have to think with a plan of how you're going to maximize this money moving forward. You can have a lot of money up front, y'all, like especially if you're doing like a one and done where it only takes you 2-3 months to knock out this contract. Let's say it's a couple of $1 million. They're out there. There's contracts out there that are a couple $1 million that are less than a year. And you knock it out and it could be milestone based. So milestone based, that could be $500 your first invoice. That's $500,000 and you gotta only pay out maybe a little bit of money. Then of course your mind is just gonna be like, what can I spend this money on? You have to kind of have that plan in place. So I beg of y'all, make sure you have some sort of plan because money, that could be a challenge. Because once you blow it or once you use it because you're like, the money's gonna keep coming. What if something changes in that contract? Like what if they cut it short? What if they run out of funding? There's so many things that can happen and I'm hoping that those things never happen to your detriment. Always trying to prepare for the unknown. So just make sure that you hold on to some money for a rainy day. If you've never been a saver, become a saver now, okay? Have some petty cash stashed away in case something happens, okay? So that's a challenge, having too much money. I know it sounds crazy, but for those who have never experienced saving money and good money management, it's just like when an athlete gets a whole bunch of money and they're like, how'd they get millions of dollars and be broke? The same way that everybody else do. If you had a whole bunch of money and you've never had any kind of financial training, no one's ever taught you how to budget, no one's ever taught you about money, period, it's very easy to blow through a lot of money. So it can be a challenge, okay? Just from your friendly veteran, okay? Just please make sure that you are taking care of what you need to take care of and saving some money. Business rainy day, okay? A business rainy day. Family and friends is gonna be another challenge because I just hear probably 90% of the time of people saying, I wanna get this business so I can bring my friends into it, so I can bring my family into it, so I can pass it down to my kids. Newsflash, I'm sorry to tell you, most of y'all family and children will never ever touch your business. I'm sorry, they're not gonna be good employees. They're not gonna take over your business. They're not gonna help you with your business. Probably, I'll say 80%. 80% of the people that I've seen try to bring a family member to either take over the business or partner with them, or if they brought their kids, it doesn't usually work. I'm sorry. And you know why it doesn't work? It's not because, it's your friends and family and they hate you. Well, hopefully that's not the case. It's because they're not qualified. They're not entrepreneurial people. And they don't have it to transition because not everybody was born an entrepreneur, right? Maybe you became an entrepreneur because of whatever reason and you never felt like you wanted to be in the past, but then you magically decided you want to be one, which is great. But that doesn't mean that your cousin Pookie is a business person. Like, they don't have the same ideals as you. They don't have the same drive and like go-getter attitude as you. And then the ones who want to pass it down to their kids, most of y'all's kids, including mine, don't care nothing about your little funky business. And that's a fact. I hate to say it, but you got to think really logically. I had a conversation with a gentleman today, and he has a really profitable home health care business, and he got 2 kids, and those kids don't give a flying fruitcake about his business. He's like, I'm selling it in 2 years. He's like, why would I give it to them for them to destroy it or not do the same thing that I do? And then we all lose the money, and I could just sell it in 2 years, make a whole bunch of millions of dollars, save some money for them and that they don't know about, and then give it to them, and then I have my money and I can retire, and I don't have to worry about the stress. And I said, yo, that's the realest thing I didn't heard all year. It's so factual. So that is something that you gotta, it's a challenge, because we have these ideals when we go into, oh, I want to build the legacy wealth and the, generational wealth. That's cool or whatever. But all the companies that we've heard of, that we know of today that are family owned, there's only about this much. A lot of them are sold. A lot of them are public companies. They're not even owned by a family anymore. And the ones that are, there's so few. You could probably name them. They're not, everything that's in existence, everything that's in my office right now was made by a company, right? Essentially, 99% of the stuff was made by a company. I'm sure most of those companies are not family owned companies. They don't have a single family member working in there. They just a rando company with a rando CEO, and it was sold to an investment company. So the family and friends thing, it's a beautiful concept. You might have people that are gonna be in your corner and work with you and partner with you, but don't go into it thinking that this is the only way, because it's gonna shift as you really start getting into this. And if you're a hustler, if you are like super business oriented, where it's 24/7, that's all you think about, that's all you do, and you look to somebody else and you see that they're not like that, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't partner with them unless they're the yin to your yang, and you know that their work ethic, it may not be with business, but you know how they operate. So the friends and family thing is a challenge, because you might think that it should be one way, and it's not going to be that way, unfortunately. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it is. I want that for y'all. I want you to have someone you trust and you love already, for y'all to come together and make beautiful music and a whole bunch of money together. That's what I want. But just know that that's not always going to be the case. Boom. So I'm going to get off of that. The next thing is passion. Your passion versus something that you're actually just doing for work, right? I wouldn't necessarily say I'm passionate about janitorial or or facilities or even renovations. Like, I'm probably most passionate about renovations, because I love to see something go from like ugly to beautiful, right? But I'm not necessarily passionate about it. Like, would I do it for free? No, I wouldn't do it for free. I wouldn't do it for free. I'm passionate about plants. I do that for free. I pay money in order to grow plants. I know that's not weed either, okay? Not drugs. I'm talking about regular old plants, pothos, and stuff like that. So that's my passion. Learning to play the piano is my passion. But government contracting itself, like the whole idea of being able to get contracts, is my passion. Teaching is my passion. But when it comes to certain things, people will say, I love to bake, I love to I love weapons. Now, should that be your business though? That's a challenge that some people face. I talked about E-Myth Revisited in a couple of my videos. That's one of the best books I ever read, E-Myth Revisited. And basically it's about, long story short, a lady in an example of a business, Patty's Pies. She's a person who grew up baking pies. She loved it, opened up a pie shop, and then she basically became a slave to the pies. And so it's no longer her passion. So should you start with your passion? Or should you start with something you're good at? Should you start with something that you know? That's really a you question. That's a challenge that a lot of people have. People will come to me and ask. I'm like, I have no clue. I don't know. I can give you a few ideas, and then you're like, I think I like that, or I think I can do that, or that sounds easy enough, or that seems like that's a good one. But it's really on you. I've had a few students who I think they get that concept of, okay, it may not be something that I really know, but I think I can do that because of these other skills that I have. One of my students, fantastic student, super smart. She's an accountant, right? Not Shanita, but she's an accountant. And so she was looking at accounting contracts, but she also is like trilingual. She speaks like 4 languages. So she saw an immigration contract where they needed an interpreter to speak to immigrants in order to set up like transportation. That ain't got nothing to do with accounting, but she thought about it like that makes sense to me, and it's in my state. I can call people and say, hey, you need to get on this bus at this time in French. That's what I mean when I say pick something that makes sense to you. You know, so I really liked how that was a perfect example. I'm actually gonna post that part of the video that I recorded with her, because that's how you're supposed to pick something in government contracting. So the challenge is like, should you pick a passion versus a job versus something that you're good at or know at? I would say really it goes into trial and error. If you start there, like Brent Archie of Archie Supply that I did an interview with, he started off doing a couple of things and he was like, I didn't like that didn't work out, might revisit in the future. Like the government contracting world is your oyster, right? Don't go into something that's like super complicated to where you can't figure it out and then you end up losing money, but also try a couple of things and just see what happens, you know? So it can't, ain't nobody gonna beat you up, I don't think. So you just go into something and try it and see what happens, and then you move on from there. So anyway, for those who don't know, I have my course called GovConNOW, where I teach you about federal contracting, local contracting, and corporate contracting. And I also have something in there for my veterans. And if you're brand new, never had a business in your life, never set anything up, I have a whole portion for a business startup within the course as well. If you are a veteran, this is the first time I've said this on my channel. If you're a veteran, you have a forever discount. Forever. Just gotta show me that you're a veteran, that you've served. It don't matter if you're a dishonorable discharge, because you know you raise your hand. So I don't be caring about none of that. So if you're a veteran, you have a forever discount, $500 off of the course until infinity. So you just hit me up. Send me a message, Sheena, I'm a veteran, I'm interested in getting the course. You go to Sheenapreneur.com. We have payment plans available. And also, if you're not a part of our GovCon Moneymakers community, I did a video on that as well. It's on my channel. I will link it. Actually, I'm gonna put it as a card up here, and I'm gonna link it in the description for you guys to join. It's 100% free. We share information in there. We ask questions. We give shout outs. We share our wins. We do all that because we all need to get to a place in government contracting, and I want you guys to win. It serves me no purpose for you guys not to win contracts. I want you to win contracts, and I want you guys to come and tell me about, Sheena, look, I won my first contract. I don't care if you've ever worked with me or not. I don't care if I'm not your favorite YouTuber, if I'm not your favorite veteran. I still want you to come in these comments and say, Sheena, look, I did that thanks to one thing you said or one thing another person said, and I won my first contract, or I submitted my first bid, or I registered my business, whatever. Share. And if you have any ideas of what type of videos you want me to do, please leave them in the comments. Until next time, it's your favorite veteran.